Hockey Talk Show fans on a Friday. Oh, my goodness. Is there any better day than a Friday? Not for them Ranger fans. Although, is it a good time? Ryan McDonagh submits his no-trade list to the New York Rangers. We can pretty much kiss Ryan McDonagh goodbye. Does he go before the deadline? I'm not entirely sure. But it definitely seems like he is going. You usually don't ask for that trade list unless you plan on trading somebody. Is it depressing for Ranger fans? Or are you excited about turning over a new leaf? Never a great thing when the captain's getting traded. But we'll dive into all of this and a hell of a lot more on this episode of the Hockey Talk Show. Welcome in to the Hockey Talk Show. Excited to be here with you, talking hockey, talking about the beautiful game of hockey, and we're going to try a little something different tonight. We're going to welcome our buddy Dustin from NHL Red Light Hockey in to talk some hockey with us this evening. You know, when we started the Hockey Talk Show, the idea was fairly simple. And it was to have a great community to come and chat hockey with. I like other talk shows. I like other hockey talk shows. We talk about other things. They do a great job. I never wanted to have players on. Players are so boring when you talk to players. I love players, but they're so boring. But I always thought I wanted it to be really about the fans and the community and our viewpoint. And that's not to say that we don't have some guests every now and then. We've had some guests on. For the most part, but it's always been to help us kind of shed some light on the game and bring the conversation up to the next level. And aside from what we're trying to do here on the Hockey Talk Show, there's a bunch of social media groups out there that do a really good job, and NHL Red Light Hockey on Facebook does a phenomenal job. And I wanted to get them involved and pull them in to elevate our conversation a little bit. And we're going to do that tonight. So we're going to talk with him in just a moment. The big topic, like I said, though, Ryan McDonagh seems like he's on his way out. Does he go before the deadline? Your thoughts in the Facebook comments and YouTube comments. Let me know, of course, on Twitter at Hockey Talk Show, Facebook.com, Hockey Talk Show there as well. Do you think he goes before the deadline? Hard to move a contract like that. Hard to move any contract where there's no trades involved. I guess that's why they asked for it so far out, right? We got some other trade rumors to get into. And, of course, we'll be talking about anything you want to talk about. We've been seeing some crazy, crazy rumors. And I don't know how far some of these people are willing to go to get clicks on their website. But I've seen some insane stuff. And we'll get to all those and whether or not they're true, all that and more on this episode of the Hockey Talk Show. As always, make sure you guys get your comments into me on the Facebook page or on the YouTube channel. Give me the thumbs up. Let me know that you're listening and where you're listening from. Always want to hear from you guys. Danny's excited. McDonagh to the Bruins for Carlo. DeBrusk. As a Bruins fan, I want to keep DeBrusk. Would you let DeBrusk go? Boy, I don't know. That'd be a tough one. That's the thing. If you're the Bruins, who do you let go? Who do you let go? I still don't believe this notion of McDonagh to Tampa. I don't think they need him. And B, what do you give up? I wouldn't give up Sergachev. No way. No way would I give up Sergachev. Nothing against McDonagh. But I would not in any way, shape, or form give up Sergachev. You got a young guy who you have under your control for 3 years, plus another 2 with restricted free agency. You know, I don't foresee that happening to bring in a guy that's going to be a free agent year after next. Doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. It really, really doesn't. Boston, I can see. I can see Boston. I don't know who you give up. And certainly the other, I know this sounds crazy, but the Islanders seem like a great fit too. Boy, there was this insane Islander rumor today involving Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Islander Ekman-Larsson, now that I think about it. We will address that too. I don't see any truth to most of this stuff, to be honest with you. I really, really don't. Austin checking in. Go Bolts. Austin, what do you want to give up to get Ryan McDonagh? That's the question. I don't foresee anybody, really. Let's talk about a future legend of the game. Barry Trotz is going to be moving into an elite club of coaches in the National Hockey League who have coached 1,500 NHL games. Trotz, who's 55, will become the 5th coach in NHL history to reach this milestone. He'll be joining, I should say, Scotty Bowman, who's coached 2,141 games. Al Arbour at 1,607. Joel Quenneville at 1,597. Quenneville's about to catch up with Al Arbour. That's crazy. Nobody's going to catch Scotty Bowman. Nobody's going to catch Scotty Bowman. And Dallas Stars coach Ken Hitchcock. All on this wonderful list of coaches who have coached 1,500 games. By the way, Hitchcock hitting his 1,500th game in Detroit on January 16th. Does anybody catch Scotty Bowman? Quenneville has a shot. He'll be hitting 1,600. He's got another 500. Let me see. 641, 644. 644 more games at 82 games a year. I don't know. I don't know. Can he make that? With 642, did I say what? 644 divided by 82. That is another 7, almost 8 years. Figure he's got a couple 30 games left. Yeah, it's about seven or 8 years. Does Quenneville have 7 or 8 years left in him? I don't know. Before this season, I would have said, hell yeah. Now I don't know. Now I'm not so sure. Austin, there's a man who knows what he's talking about. As far as Tampa goes, acquiring Ryan McDonagh, Austin saying, I'd rather have Mike Green. I'd rather have Mike Green too. You can get him for a whole hell of a lot less. He can help you on this run. And then after that, you can decide whether or not you want to extend and keep him. To me, Mike Green is the most valuable defenseman on the trade block this season. More so than Oliver Ekman-Larsson, more so than McDonagh. Why? It'll be easier to get. It'll be a lot easier to get. It's why Evander Kane is still so high up on the list, because he's going to be easier to get, although maybe not so easy, which is why we haven't seen many trades yet so far. I want to talk about the Golden Knights a little bit too, and we're going to get into Los Angeles, the Kings, and my man Drew Doughty, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit as we talk about the Norris Trophy race, which is really heating up and really sort of all around and out there. Who do you decide on? I think this was at one point a 3-horse race. Now I got to say we got 4 horses running in this race, and I'll bring our buddy Dustin on from Red Light Hockey, NHL Red Light Hockey on Facebook. Join the group if you can. Check it out. It's a closed group, so you got to submit yourself for it. But I've been a part of the group for quite some time now, and I think they do a tremendous job. Dustin, are you on with us?
Yes, sir. How are you?
My man, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, bud.
It's a pleasure to have you. Like I was just saying to everybody here, we started this show, the Hockey Talk Show, to, have a community to come and talk about hockey live. You guys are doing that. What I think what separates the Hockey Talk Show is we got this here. It's live right now. You and me, and we can talk and we can rap back and forth, have a little debate, have a little discussion. And that's what's so great. But what you guys are doing on the NHL Red Light Hockey is keeping that discussion going 24/7. You guys have almost 5,000 members, and you've only been around for just about a year. Tell us all a little bit about the group. And by the way, super nice. Nobody calls each other crazy and idiots. It's like a civil discussion going there all the time.
Sometimes it does happen. You gotta watch out for that, and tell them to turn it down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think it's been good. It's been fun. There was 3 of us that basically just said, "Hey, we can do this ourselves." We want to have a fun group that isn't regulated as much as some of these other groups, and we want to keep everybody in the conversation. We want people to learn the game, and it's nice. I'm from Dallas. Stars guy, but the 2 other guys that started, I started it with, his name's Scott and Brandon. They, Leafs fan, Oilers fan, so it's kind of diverse, and we all, kind of do it differently, but it all works. And I think the best part about it is it keeps everybody informed of what's going on, and it's not just, an Oilers or a Leafs page. It's everybody. It's what's going on now, and so that's the best part about it.
Yeah, it's very cool. And you guys don't allow Vancouver Canucks fans in, which is great because they're all idiots. Am I right?
I'm going to play the fifth on that one. There is an individual in the group who is a Ducks fan, and boy, he gets people heated, and usually because he doesn't, he just says stuff. But, he is very active in the group. I'm glad he's in the group. As much as he annoys me and some other people, he does keep the conversation going. And, you gotta love hockey fans. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm just kidding. The Canucks fans, they're good people.
No.
I feel for them too, and I'm a fan of them because they're about to give up a couple of big pieces to some other teams, and I'm hoping my Islanders are going to get one of them. That's for sure. Goodbranson, I think, is going to go. I think Goodbranson goes. I think Vanek will definitely go. I think Vanek is more valuable than people give him credit for. We talked about this the other day on the Hockey Talk Show. I don't know if you have feelings on this, Dustin, but we put him side by side with Nash, and here's the thing. I think that Rick Nash is so being blown up in the press because he's a huge name and he helps, TSN and Sportsnet. And again, those guys do a great job. I follow their coverage, but he's a big name and he's getting attention, and I fully expect them to use everything they can to, bring attention to the trade deadline. But you put those 2 together, and everybody's talking about Nash, you need a 1st-round pick and a prospect and another piece and blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, you can have Vanek for like a 5th-round pick, and he's got similar stats.
No, and I agree with that. And I think it's a little silly, to be honest. I think the Nash trade, even being a Stars fan, I look at my first 2 lines, right? You got Ben Sagan, Radulov, and then you've got the second line that's got Spezza, and then kind of whoever they throw on the second line with them. Personally, if I were to try and trade for, say, Rick Nash, right? I wouldn't just go for Rick Nash. I'd want Jim Neal to basically go and grab Grabner. I think he's better. I think he's, the better fit. If you were to grab somebody outside or in the Rangers organization, obviously Stephen Gunn is a big name too. But, I think the key pieces that you're talking about, I think, 1st round for Rick Nash, I just don't see it. I agree with you there.
Yeah, and Grabner. I like what you did there. I see what you're doing. I like it. And the funny thing too is I've been saying this from the get that Zuccarello is the guy on that team. Like if you're going to grab forward, obviously I think he's going to garner the biggest price and return as far as the forwards go for the New York Rangers.
I have to agree with that. Of course he's a rock star. Nash, he's that guy that, yes, he's a big name, but usually it's not because of his production. It's usually because of his lack of production. He was a big name guy back in the day, but now everybody usually just talks about, salary cap and his lack of production, especially in the playoffs. And I think that's the biggest bother for me as a fan who's going into this trade, the trade deadline, knowing that, he is a key piece that people probably want to grab, but, why? That's my question. Why would you want to grab somebody who, isn't necessarily that big name anymore?
Right.
So, and that's not that productional piece. So.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, so Dustin is with us from NHL Red Light Hockey, a great group on Facebook. Dallas Stars fan from the get for many years. So let me ask you this, Dustin. Where exactly on your body is your Mike McDonagh tattoo?
Funny guy. No, I don't have I don't have a Mike McDonagh tattoo.
What? You don't have one? Oh my goodness!
No, not that guy. No, I do know a lot of. I'm gonna call Scott out here. He's got a big Oilers tat that he loves to show everybody. Oh, I got a tattoo. Check mine out. That's kind of cool. It's like an Oilers thing with a glove on it behind it, like holding it. It's kind of cool, but that's not for me. But yeah, no, I'm a big McDonagh fan, obviously. Grew up watching the Hatcher and Zubov, and now we got Ludwig in the studio, which is kind of cool. Getting to see him and his old self kind of aging and talking hockey, and kind of telling Stars fans how it goes. And that's the cool thing about Dallas now too. Is, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we didn't know anything about hockey. I was just a kid, and it was you had to learn a lot about the game. Football, something that is huge here, but 5 years later, there's so many people that know the game inside and out. They know what's happening on the ice, and that's the cool thing about being in Dallas right now. And a lot of hype going in with Hitch, with the way he defensively. I mean, look at us last year; we were terrible, and now we've got one of the best defenses in the league. And you've got Klinger, who is arguably the best. And could say running. Could be that number one guy gets the Norris Trophy. So, no, it's an exciting time here in Dallas for sure.
All right, Austin's got a good point here. I like this. Do you think the Stars move on from Ben Bishop at the end of this season?
No, I definitely don't think so. Just because, one, they signed him with a 6-year deal at least. And, no, he's going to be here for a while. If they didn't move on from Niemi and Kari after one season, they're definitely not going to do that with Ben Bishop. That's just my take on that. I think Ben Bishop's going to be here for a little bit, and they might. My question is, what are they going to do with Kari? Is he going to be? I assume he's going to be the backup next year too. But what is that cost going to look like, or is he going to try and check out free agency? But no, I don't think they're going to move forward or move away from Ben Bishop unless something dramatic happens where he gets injured or he just becomes a pylon.
Yeah, I love Ben Bishop's size too. God, you mentioned Darian Hatcher. God, like size and good defenseman. It's a lethal combination. Checking cap friendly here quickly. Ben Bishop, yeah, he signed up to the 22-23 season, and Kari's up at the end of this year, and he wasn't making 5.9. Yeah, you got to make an adjustment there, I guess, because 5.
Sure. Yep.
Was that 9, almost $10.8 million in the net to pay? That's a lot.
Right, but he's gonna have a new contract. Kari, matter of fact, just had a new kid. I don't know if it was a baby boy. I think it was a baby boy. So. I don't think he's going to be wanting to travel and be traded around a lot. I think he's proven that he can be a good backup. I know people were hating on him last year, but I really think that defensively, the rough system was like it is. It was rough. I mean, it was really bad, and Klinger was just so bad back there. I mean, I wanted to trade him, but a year later, you get a defensive-minded coach, and now he's one of the best in the league and arguably in that race for the Norris Trophy, and it's really kind of amazing. But at the same time, Kari kept us in the game. Sometimes people wanted to yell at him and get rid of him and all that stuff. But you could see that he was there. It just defensively, man, he was left out. He was left hanging all the time. So I'm glad he's in a good backup role and he's doing really well. He's been very successful this year in that position. But he's not going to make that kind of money as a backup, obviously.
No. And you know what? That becomes the problem, too, in this league is, you got a guy in his, you look at what's going to happen. You got a guy in his situation, and it's like, is he going to take less money to be the backup, or is he going to say, no, I'm a starter, and go out on that market and see where he can get, his starter money? And Lord knows, between the struggles of the Islanders and Edmonton and, God, we can go up and down the list. There's going to be plenty of people looking for a quality goaltender.
That's very true. I mean, that's a good point that you brought up. My only thing with Kari is he's getting older. And so that helps with the ability to talk men to keep in that backup role. You're on a team that, you want to win that title or kind of building towards that. So there's a lot of pros to being able to sell him on that. Now, if he's just set in stone, I'm just going to go here. I'm going for the money. I think he made plenty of money in the past 7 years to say, he can take that backup role and take a little bit less and kind of go from there. But you could be right. He could just go and jump on the market. I don't know.
Austin, who's a big Lightning fan, says he misses Ben Bishop. He was such a nice guy. Yeah, tough to move on. That's the thing. But, I credit Stevie Y all the time because you got Vasilevsky down there, and the potential is going to be there. That's a little bit of a gamble, but he did it, and it definitely paid off. But it's funny what you said, and it's so true. You get a new coach and a new system, and it's amazing how your goaltending can struggle and your defense can struggle. New system, new coach comes in, and boom, all of a sudden you're a plus 24 in differential, and Klingberg is in the Norris Trophy conversation. So let's shift our focus to that. Obviously, we know that you're going to go with Klingberg here, but I believe that the Norris Trophy race is a 4-horse race between Klingberg, Subban, Hedman, and I'm going to keep Drew Doughty in this mix. I think Drew Doughty is still in this conversation. Would you agree with those 4 being the top 4 for the Norris this year?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that, for sure.
I think that points-wise, they're all incredibly similar. I, up until a couple of weeks ago, was very big on Victor Hedman going in. I thought Victor Hedman had the advantage. I thought he had the lead in the race because, obviously, the Lightning were playing so damn good. His point percentage was there. His plus-minus was through the roof. And it still is. His team had by far the best record. But a lot of people are fighting for Klingberg. So I'll let you make your case here, Dustin.
Sure, thanks. So, the new system, right? We just talked about it. New system for him. And the first 20 games, it's still kind of a learning process for the Stars. I mean, they were basically a 500 club after about 20 games, and now where they're at now, it's incredible. I mean, the Central is incredible. I make the case that the Atlantic isn't that tough this year, right? So if you play those teams more often, you're gonna, but I'm not going to take anything away from the Tampa Bay Lightning, nor am I going to take away anything from Edmund. I think he's an incredible defenseman. But I think just the way Klinger's played this year, he's definitely not a liability as he was last year. I mean, he was a liability. Anybody will tell you that. He had some of the worst turnovers I've ever seen an NHL player make, and he doesn't have any of those this year. He creates anywhere on the ice. He can be in his defensive zone, being able to get out to man pinch on him. I mean, he's so good at being able to move the puck and set people up. I mean, he's got, 45 assists? I mean, the man's unbelievable. I mean, he's so young. He's not your big physical type defender. I think it's been kind of crazy to see him lately. He has laid the body on people. I can't remember who he hit the other night, but he hit somebody pretty good, and I couldn't believe it was Klingberg that did it. And but anyways, so I think just, what he's done this year, if you take the first 20 games and you just say, okay, first 20 games, they're a wash, and then see what he's done past that. I think he is my favorite. Absolutely. I think Hedman would be number 2. I think PK Subban 3, because the Predators are just so good. And their defensive core is amazing in Nashville. I think all 3 of them all 6 of them, all 3 lines are stacked. I think they're just one of the best teams in the league, and they're going to be the hardest, in my opinion, to beat come playoff time. But PK, I mean, he brings a different game. He does it every year, and it's the same kind of game that he brings all the time. And but fast-moving defender. I just thought, I don't know. I think Klinger this year is my favorite, and I think it's just because he does all the little things right. Hedman's, like I said, he's a close favorite too. So, but Doughty, I don't know. Doughty, I just don't see it this year. And I've seen people make the arguments for Carlson. I don't see that with that either. But that's just kind of where I stand with it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not down with Carlson whatsoever. I think that Doughty is by far the fourth horse in the race, by the way. And I don't know if you're watching the screen, and it'll probably be a smidge delayed for you here, but I don't know if you saw. I'm going to play this for all the other viewers. This was Drew Doughty the other night in Pittsburgh. Well, last night, I think, in Pittsburgh. Watch his hustle on this play right here. Watch as he's defending against an open net, diving, doing everything he can. Look at the frustration as he gets up and just a two-hander right across the post. Here it is from another angle. Gino scoring and just bam. Oh my, look at the reaction. He is pissed. He is so pissed. He is so good. He is such a good player though. 8 goals, 32 assists for Doughty. He's got a plus he's a plus 18 on the year for this season so far, but I think he's the fourth in the race. Here's why I'm going to make the case against you here, Dustin. And I don't know who's going to win, but I think one of the things you mentioned is the key on why Klingberg doesn't win, and that is his youth. He's the youngest out of all of these guys that are in it at just 25 years old. And I think that that's going to go against him with the hockey writers, because I think they're going to look at him and they're going to say, you know, look, kid, if you want to win this, you know, you got to be good for a number of years before this year. I think if he was head and shoulders above everybody else, he could win it. But I also think that the hockey writers, and not in a negative way, will look to him and say, A, you got to have a number of years behind you, but B, you have plenty of time to put those number of years together. And, you know, if you're going to be a Norris Trophy caliber defenseman, you'll eventually win it one day. I don't know who. Well, go ahead. I'll let you respond. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, that makes sense. I mean, and it comes, you know, you're a Norris defender, you know, Norris Trophy winner, because, you know, you do this all the time, not just a one and done. So yeah, that makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it's funny too, because you look at everybody who's won, and they've been nominated at least 1 year before they've actually won. What I love about PK is 15 goals, 29 assists, so around the same point percentage, but PK a lot more offensively flashy than all the other guys on this list, and I think the hockey writers will respect that a smidge more. And then you go over and you look at Hedman, and like I mentioned earlier, a plus 25, just murdering it in the plus-minus column. And, I mean, there's no surprise. He's got a great defensive core around him. He's got Vasilevsky behind him. It's crazy. But I do agree with you when you talk about the Preds, because their defense, oh, my God. I don't even know if there's a better defensive core. And what's ridiculous for David Poile is he's had incredible defense, incredible defensemen like every single year, essentially. It's just crazy. It's just crazy what they do over there in Nashville. And I also think that a lot of the times it's the team standings that do make a big difference in all of this. And that's another disadvantage for Dallas, as they are in a playoff position right now, but they're in a wild card position. LA is out of it, but Dallas is in a wild card position, and you've got Nashville first in the Central and Tampa first in the Atlantic. So I think that could affect him too, which is totally unfair, but that's usually kind of the way it works.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Definitely. Because
what sucks is, the voting goes all the way down to the end of the season. I don't think they vote until the season is actually over. So playoffs aren't going to matter, but where the teams finish in a playoff position definitely does matter. Austin, I'm sure, is rooting for Hedman. Evander, I'm sure, is rooting for Carlson, who says that we should be considering him in this conversation. So everybody's got an opinion on this, which is great, which is what makes it so much fun. And now here's the weird thing, though, Dustin. I'm Victor Hedman all the way 2 weeks ago, and now I'm sitting there going, I can't really decide between Hedman and PK Subban, and Klingberg is still, heavy in the thought process for me too. Because I'm not saying he can't win; he could definitely win. But this can all change for the next 23, 27, however many games these teams have left.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a crazy race to the finish. I think especially, you got to think Nashville and Dallas are in the same division, and that's going to be a pretty crazy race to see what spot gets picked. Kind of going, getting down to the end of the wire there. I think Tampa, I mean, you're looking at Tampa, they're probably not going to move much, right? It's going to be the same kind of philosophy that they have there, but it's going to be a crazy race to the finish in the Central. And I'm interested to see kind of the numbers that, Claire, PK, and Hedman do near the end of that. I know your buddy wants to, he wants to talk Carlson, and there's nothing wrong with Carlson. Carlson's an amazing defender. I'd love him on my team, not for the price that they want for him, but he's great. He's just on the wrong team right now, and he's just on a team that is basically imploding. It seems like it's just kind of crazy to see what's going on in Ottawa. And but anyway, yeah, it's going to be fun to see, like you said, near the end, the next 20 games or so, see how it comes down to the final tick, the clock there.
Yeah, and the other thing that a lot of people don't really look at, which I look at a whole bunch, is goal differential. Like I said, Dallas looks great at a plus, what did I say, plus 24. Dallas at a plus 24. Nashville's at a plus 29. You want to know how sick Tampa is? Plus 53. That's how insane. Now, I mean, we're sitting here going, boy, that Nashville defensive core is the best in the league, but you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning and they're a plus 53. So that just goes to show.
In my opinion, I think you got to look at the division as well. For a while there, the Central, it was 10 points was first and seventh, So you look at the Atlantic, there was 5 teams under 500. And if you're that much better than them, it's going to make that goal differential that much worse or better in that case. So, I mean, now they've got, four teams over 500? But for a while, there was really only 2 or 3 of them until just as of late. So I think that definitely goes to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And you know what? We should, I am going to throw John Carlson in there because Evander says so. 10 goals, 35 assists, 45 points. He's a -1, which is a problem for him, but definitely points wise, he's pretty much there. But as you mentioned, not the, Caps are not the best defensive team right now, even though they still are doing fairly well in their division. All right, Dustin, I'm going to let you go here. This was a ton of fun. I hope we could do it again in the future. I want everybody to go check out NHL Red Light. They do a tremendous job on Facebook. We'll throw links up in the comments section. Try and join the group. Good conversation going on there at all times. And let everybody else know that, this was fun, and I hope we could do it again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show. And I loved what we talked about, and hopefully we can do it again. And yeah, it was awesome. It's a pleasure. All
right, man. We'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Bye.
All right, there goes Dustin, and he is from NHL Red Light hockey. Like I said, I always find some fairly good conversation going on there. I like the input from everybody, rolling some things around. It's just a fun place to go and talk hockey. We'll put links up at the end of the show. Make sure you guys go and check it out and join the Facebook group. It's always a good time to talk hockey. And my thanks to him for putting us on the Red Light page today. We're probably reaching a whole bunch of new people that have never seen us before. This is the Hockey Talk Show. I'm your host, Ant. I do a radio show here on Long Island. I'm a former employee of the New York Islanders and just an overall big hockey fan. Big hockey fan. You can get more information on us at hockeytalkshow.com. You can see on our lower third right here all of our info. hockeytalkshow.com, and you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Hockey Talk Show. And we also this show goes live on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. It's the same exact show. Just depends on how you prefer to watch it. So you can subscribe on YouTube as well. And we also roll on a podcast version, just a audio only of this show goes up onto Spotify, Stitcher, the TuneIn Radio app, and iTunes, which is good. Let's talk about Ryan McDonagh here, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight and do our predictions for the games this evening. Ryan McDonagh submitting his 10-team no-trade list. That is part of his no-movement clause that he has. Pierre LeBrun. Was it Pierre LeBrun? Boy, I don't want to misquote. I don't want to spread fake news. Pierre LeBrun tweeting about Ryan McDonagh earlier this week submitting a 10-team no-trade list to the Rangers. He's not sure he goes before the 26th. I would agree with that. But if a team is willing to pay a big price, it could happen. He thinks it's more of a June decision, but no one ever knows. And boy, is that true. I can't agree with Pierre more, though. I feel like McDonagh is a draft move, and if not, a July 1 move. Like once you get into that July 1 and you get some of that money off your books and you take a look at your team and you see what you have, and you see what you've come up with via the draft, then I think, you can go and sit there and go, okay, we can make a pitch for 27, and we can throw a lot of assets at him now and throw some money at him and try and get him extended. Because I believe July 1, he'll be able to re-sign, which is kind of important too, right? I mean, if you're going to make a deal for a guy in McDonagh's stature, and he does have the ability to sort of control his destiny with the 10-team list. I mean, he could still go to 21 other teams. July 1 would be a good time to make that move, because as you put the deal together, and I'm sure the Rangers wouldn't love this because it's only going to complicate the deal further for them. But as you're putting that deal together, you can say, well, let's wait till July 1, and then we can ask to negotiate with McDonagh before we make the deal. And then again, it could be advantageous for the Rangers because they can say they can put in a conditional draft pick then and say, well, okay, then if you agree to sign him, or if he does sign long term, we get a higher pick. So it's not necessarily a bad thing at the end of the day. As a Ranger fan, I think you got to be excited because again, I know these are tough times, but a rebuild at this point is super exciting because you do have a lot that you can get a return for. McDonagh is going to bring a huge return. Matt Zuccarello is going to bring a big return. Grabner is going to be a decent return. I know there's a lot of buzz on him, but again, remember what we talked about the other night, 7 empty net goals. So yeah, he definitely looks more impressive than Rick Nash, but 7 empty net goals. I love Grabner. He's going to work, like I said the other night. He's going to work great on your third line. He's going to help you out tremendously there. He's great because you can acquire him and not disturb your top 6. And you can get a little offensive help, and you get a hell of a penalty killer. Maybe one of the best in the league. So he's not a total wash, but I'm just saying sometimes the stats lie, and in this particular case, 7 empty net goals seems like a little bit of a fib. Austin with another great question. What 10 teams do you think are on his list? You got good questions tonight, Austin. Might be viewer of the day. Boy, that's a good one. Who does McDonagh put on his list? You think he puts the Isles and the Devils on that list? I wonder. I would imagine, and I don't know too much about McDonagh personally. I would imagine like Arizona's on that list, right? I don't think he would put Edmonton on that list because I think he'd work really well there. I doubt he'd want to go back to Montreal. I wonder if he'd put them on their list. I would think that McDonagh in his situation, the teams that, just downright stink to high hell and don't have any chance of, like Edmonton stinks this year, but I mean, nobody thinks that they're going to be this bad next year, do they? I mean, they got to shore up, they got to get better goaltending, but who's going to want to not go and play with 97? I mean, Jesus, am I right? How could you not? I think that's where I would want to be with 97 for sure. Liz chiming in, maybe the best Ranger fan of all time. Liz's opinion: Arizona, Carolina, Florida. I would agree with those 3. I think we can safely put those 3 on the list. I would also add Buffalo, and again, I'd like to play with Eichel. Robin Leonard's a good goaltender to play in front of. They're not as bad as their record says. Couple of shrewd moves in the offseason, and Buffalo's right back in this game. But I could see Buffalo being on that list. I could definitely see Ottawa being on that list. I would not want to be caught up in the mess that's Ottawa. No way. No way. Not never. And who knows? Maybe he's got a problem out west. Maybe he doesn't want to be in Winnipeg or Calgary, small arenas, or, teams that don't know where they're going to wind up playing, like Calgary. Maybe he's got Vegas on that list. You know, who knows? I really don't know too much about him personally. Liz, that's why I didn't say Buffalo. Yeah, that's true. Got me there. I think he would like to go to Boston. I think who's going to turn down the ability to go to Tampa Bay? I mean, they got a plus 53 differential. I mean, you're on easy street if you're over there. Him behind Hedman or next to Hedman, that's killer. You know, again, him with Chara for a year or two, that's killer. Daniel with a point. Yeah, great point. Is it me or is Buffalo playing better without Jack Eichel? I think I mentioned that in passing on the other last night's show. It is kind of amazing to not to defeat your point, Daniel, because it's true. But they were playing good like a game or two when he was there, and then he got hurt. But they've still played really well. It's unbelievable. It's kind of what happens when you get into that point as a team where you literally have no more pressure anymore, and it all just comes off your shoulders, and you play loose and you play better. Liz agrees with Ottawa, but as a Rangers fan, I would love to have Carlson for McDonagh. I think have I said this before? Maybe I'm lying. I could be making it up. But I think I said McDonagh for Carlson would be a good move. It'd be an easy move. It would be a really, really easy move. Honestly, that could be a straight up trade with nothing else thrown in. McDonagh for Carlson. I think most would argue that Carlson is better. So maybe another piece coming off the Rangers and a pick or something like that, or a prospect, which they don't really have a ton of. But I think that would be a really easy trade to make. I mean, they're both contractually in the same boat, right? Each team doesn't really lose all that much, and they get to freshen things up. McDonagh's not going to fetch as much as Carlson is come free agency time. And that's, I think, appealing to Ottawa because they don't have a lot of money to throw around. So I think that's, and again, the Rangers have all the money in the world, and who wouldn't love the most, mobile defenseman on the planet? I think that would be a good move. Hockey-wise, that would be a tremendous move. To me, that's a hockey trade. They say, oh, this is a hockey trade. To me, that's a hockey trade. That's both of these situations aren't going well. We can help each other out. Both teams would benefit from that. It's not a stud for picks and futures. It's a good swap for right now. So I think that's an interesting one. I want the Bolts to stay good for a while, not a one and done show. I hope they don't give up a ton of prospects. That's what I'm saying. I don't think the Bolts need to do a damn thing. I really don't. I don't think they need to do a lot. Danny writing in, I'm from Jack Eichel's hometown, played youth baseball with him, believe it or not. I'll believe it. Great story. I'm at Dunkin' Donuts in town and his dad walks in and I'm wearing a McDavid shirt. He told me to take it off. This actually happened. Come on, Danny. You can't walk around 97 in 15's town. You should know better than that, bud. How come you're not rocking an Eichel jersey anyway? Supporting your bud. That'd be the thing to do. Austin, Carlson, and Hedman would be sick. Yeah, that would be sick. I think that's a dream scenario, but that would be pretty sick. All right, I think we're gonna leave it there. We didn't get to our Vegas Golden. Now let's do the Vegas Golden Knights thing really quickly here. This I found to be pretty interesting. The Vegas Golden Knights. Oh, here it is. The Vegas Golden Knights went over to Cirque du Soleil to learn how to Cirque du Soleil. Is that what you say? They learned how to Cirque du Soleil. Can you make Cirque du Soleil a verb? I think I just did. Here's James Neal Cirque du Soleiling across the. Take a look at this. Look, they put him in these red ropes thing. What's he think? He's Pink? Only Pink performs on these things.
2, 3.
Look, and they send James Neal up in the air. Look, there. There's your 30-goal scorer, 20 feet above the stage, swinging on curtains, for Christ's sake. God, if I was George McPhee, I'd lose my mind. How did George McPhee let these guys go there? I know he's up there for like 10 seconds, but still, I would be losing my mind if I was the general manager of this team. I'd be like, the what? You want my players to swing from curtains? I don't think so, bud. Forget your stupid Cirque du Soleil show. I got 30 goals up there right now. I can't have it. I can't have it. I'm still amazed on the buzz about people talking that the Vegas Golden Knights may walk away from James Neal. They're still talking about trading James Neal. I don't get it. I mean, here's where the only scenario I can dream up James Neal goes before the deadline is if James Neal goes to Vegas and says, look, guys, I like playing here a lot, but there's no chance in hell I'm re-signing with you. So if you want to move me for better pieces, I understand it. But what player wants to do that to begin with? Like, what player is going to go, I know I have a good chance, or at least a decent chance of going far in the playoffs, and maybe, who the hell knows, winning a Stanley Cup because I got Marc-Andre Fleury. But I don't know if I'm going to sign here, so trade me. I don't see it happening. This idea that, he's going to go, I think it's just nuts. I think it's really, really nuts. Daniel Barzal is playing out of his mind. Oh, Evander, what was that? I don't know if Evander's still with us. What was that rumor before? It was Ekman Larson for Joshua Ho-Sang and a first. I think that's the rumor going around today from TSN insiders. It's just nuts. Can we just kill this rumor right away? We're sitting here talking. I love some of these rumor mongers. On one hand, you're talking about Rick Nash going for a first, a top prospect, and a player now, and then the Coyotes are going to sell Ekman Larson for a first and a prospect. Like, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. If Rick Nash's price right now is a first, a top prospect, and a player, there's no way Ekman Larson's price is a first and a prospect. This is no way. I don't care how good Joshua Ho-Sang is, and I think he's good. But there's just no way. Ho-Sang, that was it, right? Yeah, thanks, buddy. I don't foresee that happening whatsoever. And he's a troubled prospect at that. You're right. Like, and for the Islanders, and that was the story too. I forgot the other part of it. That was the story too, that Garth Snow said no. Garth Snow was the one who said no. I just don't foresee that happening. There's no way Garth Snow would say no to that. You got a troubled prospect who can't make his way into the lineup, and you're gonna shun Oliver Ekman Larson, for Joshua Ho-Sang. I just don't see that. I really just don't see that happening. I'm really interested to see what the teams. This is another great question I had. The teams that are going to make moves to the deadlines. Here's who I'm super interested in seeing. The Islanders, of course, Carolina, Philly with their goaltending situation. What does Dallas do to shore up their lineup? Where are the Caps in all this? Can they add the depth that they need? And then on the other side, St. Louis just made a move. I'm crazy interested to see what St. Louis does. I'm not I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be as active as we all think because they just have too many cap issues. Can Toronto get their defensemen? What do the New Jersey Devils do? We were talking about teams in their arcs. I got a question about the Colorado Avalanche and what the Colorado Avalanche should do. Should they add? As they sit right now, the Avalanche are 2 points out of a playoff spot from Minnesota. It's tempting as hell to add, but if you're Colorado, you don't want to give up too much right now. No way. No way. Keep your picks. You got a long future to build towards. A long, long future. I wouldn't make... if I'm Colorado and I got to give up a fourth to add a Soshnikov or something like that, I would consider adding a little depth to my team that way. But anything above a fourth, 1 through 3 picks, I would not touch. And Colorado's certainly not going to, give away picks right now. And maybe the most interesting of all, and I think we're going to start, this is just perception. I've heard nothing. This is just what I think. And as I'm looking at everything, I think as the Blackhawks continue to fall down the standings and lose games, I think they're going to make a move. I don't know if it comes at the deadline. I don't know, but I think a move is coming from the Blackhawks. I brought this up yesterday, and again, we might have to dedicate a whole show to this. What do the Blackhawks do with their core moving into this offseason? What's that scenario for the Chicago Blackhawks? I mean, seriously. This is a team that has fallen and fallen hard. Is this a one-off for the Blackhawks? Or is this a team that has really won 3 cups in 6 years and is finally running out of steam? Are they reaching the point of where the Rangers are? You know, the Rangers turned around and said, we made our cup run. We couldn't get there. We tried to patch it together in the years following. It didn't work. Enough is enough. Let's rebuild and make it happen. Are the Blackhawks a year away from that realization right now? Because they've kind of scotch taped this team together this year with the Saad trade and bringing Patrick Sharp back. You know, is the time up? Austin thinks so. Or is this a blip in the screen? They'll regroup next year. They'll be great. I don't know. You have $10.5 million for Kane and Taves, so $21 million wrapped up in 2 players. If you add Saad to this, that's $27 million in 3 players. If you add Seabrook and Keith, that's another $12 million. 27, 37, $39 million in 5 players. $39 million in 5 players. I mean, that's craziness. That's half your cap in 5 players. Can they allow that to continue? Can they find interest in one of those guys? Do they walk away from Taves? I'm sure they'd love to walk away from Saad. Who takes him at $6 million with 3 more years left? Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook. What's that situation? Got a lot of years left. They're signed for 22 till 22, 23. Seabrook signed till 23, 24. I could see one of those guys being moved before the deadline. But I don't know. That's if they decide we're out of this. We're out of this. Because if you look at them, they look awful. I mean, they really look awful. They are tough to watch. It's like when your grandpa gets old and he can't do the things he used to do, and you just look at it and it's like, oh God, this is sad. So I love my grandpa, but you know, you wish, you're not wishing for it, you know, but you're hoping he's not in pain anymore, that kind of thing. That's kind of how I feel like watching the Blackhawks. I don't think they should move on from Stan Bowman, by the way, and I don't think they should move on from Joel Quenneville. I think their management structure is spot on. They won. You don't move on from guys who delivered you 3 cups in 4 years. Here's why it's okay to move on from players, because players have an expiration date. Coaches do too, but they got a little longer. General managers the longest. Those guys don't burn out as much as or quickly as players do. That's the difference. I don't know what Chicago does there, but I have a feeling that if they continue to lose games the way they are, we are going to start having the conversation of, does Chicago sell off in the next 10 days? Games tonight, there's 4, only 4, but they're killer. Philly and Columbus, great matchup. 2 teams, one's in, the other one's out, both struggling. Carolina and the Islanders, same exact deal. Colorado and Winnipeg. Can Colorado inch their way back into the playoffs? Winnipeg's the best team. Colorado's been hot. They've cooled lately, but they've been hot. And St. Louis and Dallas. Soshnikov not with St. Louis just yet, but St. Louis and Dallas tonight. That's the NHL Network game, so most of us will be able to watch that here in the States. I'll tell you what, give me Dallas, because Dustin is our new pal. So give me Dallas in that game. I think they'll be pretty good tonight. Give me Winnipeg. Sorry, Colorado. Give me the Islanders on the road. Got to do it. I think that game last night with the Rangers was a turning point for them. They dominated for 60 minutes. It's pathetic, because the Rangers dressed a lot of rookies. And by God damn, was Henrik Lundqvist amazing last night. I don't know if you saw that game, but Henrik Lundqvist was friggin' amazing last night. But give me the Islanders against Carolina. I don't think there's any Ranger hangover for tonight. And Philadelphia and Columbus. Man, this is tough. Columbus has been playing damn good. damn good hockey. They got their rear ends whooped by Toronto, but they've been playing good. And the Flyers are obviously, on a great run right now. Give me Columbus. Tie goes to the runner. Tie goes to the home team for me. Give me Columbus on that one. Thanks to Dustin. Thanks to everybody over at NHL Red Light Hockey. Those guys do a great job. Again, join that group if you can. They're phenomenal. Hope to have some more of those dudes on and dudettes from the future. We'll be off the next couple of days. President's Day. Might do a super early show. I think we're going to have a lot of matinee games on President's Day. So if we do get on here, we'll do an early one. If not, we'll just take the day and we'll come back on Tuesday. I'll keep you posted on that on the Facebook page and our Twitter pages at Hockey Talk Show. Enjoy the hockey for this evening, guys. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Happy President's Day. And I'll see you guys on